Part 18. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 172. What is such a girl? Len Ning asked with a hearty smile. You used to be very polite and shy in class at that time. He and she were like two parallel lines that would never intersect. One is a wealthy girl who has top academic performance and always ranks first. One is a mischievous school bully who doesn't seek to improve. She was supposed to look down on him, and he was equally unimpressed with her. Len Ning was stunned. Then you got me wrong, then he smiled. Zhou Tao was talking about her before the end of the world. But she had experienced her previous life, and she was already far, far away from her at that time. Seeing Len Ning's smile, Zhou Tao lost consciousness for a moment. Boss, I'm honored to join the Manman team, then Zhou Tao said. Len Ning looked back at Zhou Tao, feeling that something was not right about Zhou Tao's mood. Of course you are honored. Manman team will become the most famous team in Cydia in the future, Len Ning said with a smile. There was a flash of disappointment in Zhou Tao's eyes. Boss, if we can't get from here today dash. Aren't there just thousands of zombies? What's there to be afraid of? As long as I'm here, I'll take you out of here safely. Guessing what Zhou Tao wanted to say, Len Ning immediately interrupted him. Zhou Tao's face was slightly stiff, and the corners of his mouth were raised. Boss, please stop comforting me. Our mental energy is almost exhausted. The crystal core absorption is almost ineffective, otherwise, you wouldn't have brought me to this room to hide temporarily. Len Ning was stunned. Ahem, this boy, does he have to say these words? Boss, Zhou Tao felt excited and his face suddenly turned red. At this moment, there was a sudden violent crash at the door. Len Ning immediately got up from the stool, holding Xiaoman and looking at the door warily. Then, the impact sound became louder each time. It's zombies knocking on the door. Since you are going to die, you can't die in vain soon. Len Ning calmed down and looked back at Zhou Tao. Zhou Tao was stunned. Then he nodded to Len Ning, his eyes full of determination. Use your last strength and kill as many as you can, Len Ning said solemnly. Then, walk towards the door. Heartbroken, Len Ning was about to open the door directly. But it suddenly became quiet outside. Then, there was a violent crackling sound. Len Ning was stunned. There was a surge of disbelief in his eyes. After about 10 minutes, the outside finally returned to calm. Xiaoning, are you in there? Suddenly, a familiar voice came from outside the door. Len Ning was confused for a moment. Is it him? Or I am too tired and hallucinating? Miss. Immediately afterwards, some other people's voices came from outside. Zhou Tao ran forward excitedly. Boss, open the door quickly. Someone is here to save us, Zhou Tao said excitedly to Len Ning. Len Ning was still a little confused, and even realized that he could only see Zhou Tao smiling, but could not hear his voice clearly. Suddenly, Len Ning moved. She reached out to hold the door handle, then twisted it hard and opened the door. What caught his eye was a man with a tall figure, unrivaled handsomeness, and outstanding temperament. The cold face that seemed to have remained unchanged for thousands of years started to change as soon as he saw Len Ning. Len Ning felt a surge of blood and instantly fell forward. Zhou Dogang hurriedly prepared to step forward to help Len Ning, but saw that the man had already reached out and caught her. Then, the man picked up Len Ning by the waist, turned around and left. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 173. Zhou Daoleng was stunned on the spot. He didn't realize something was wrong until the men were gone. Hurry out of the room and chase after him. After chasing him out, he saw that the ground was strewn with dead bodies, and bullet holes could be seen everywhere on the walls. Yes, it's the kind of bullet hole made by a bullet. So, the sound they heard just now was actually a gunshot? Recalling what he had just seen, the man's handsome face that seemed to be so close to ghosts and ghosts, with a hint of familiarity, Zhou Tao suddenly had a suspicion in his mind. Then his face flashed with ecstasy, and he quickly chased the man in the direction he left. Yes. It's Mr. Lei. Their boss's big brother is back. Young Master Lei is the man he and Yuan Xing admire the most. They have collected many photos of young Master Lei when he was young. Why are there no photos of him as an adult? Because they didn't get them, and they are very similar to the person they saw just now. Master Lei, Zhou Tao chased forward excitedly, wanting to catch up with Lei Lei and Len Ning. But before he could chase him 10 meters away, he was blocked by two men in powerful clothing and armed to the teeth. Looking at the two men in front of him who looked very difficult to get along with, Zhou Tao felt a little guilty and took a step back unconsciously. What are you doing? I'm your lady's subordinate. You can't stop me, Zhou Tao plucked up the courage to say to the two men. One of the slender men immediately smiled. Miss, you actually took over your subordinates, the slender man said, looking Zhou Tao up and down. It seems that the boss said before that she has changed a lot, and it turns out to be true. Then he said to another burly man. Is it really true? You have no idea? If we hadn't relied on the information that the young lady told the boss, would we have been so comfortable along the way? The burly man said to the slender man angrily. Yes, yes. It's really my fault, miss. Her changes are amazing. A flash of surprise flashed across the slender man's eyes, and he said with a smile. This slender man is one of the members of Thunder's four-color group, nicknamed Yellow Monkey. Needless to say, he is very skilled in martial arts, and he is also very good at it and computer skills. He is one of Thunder's most trusted lieutenants. The burly man, nicknamed Black Tiger, is the #1 bodyguard around Thunder. It is said that he once boxed in private with the boxing champion. Although he didn't win, he didn't lose either. The strength is evident. Before the end of the world, Lei Lei left City A to discuss business. In fact, he did not go to other provinces or cities, but went abroad. Because the mission was heavy and dangerous, he did not tell his family his true destination when he went there. This is also the reason why, after such a long time, he has not been able to get back to City A in time. Lei Lei went abroad, which was of great importance, and this time he brought a total of 3 confidants with him. 2 of them are Yellow Monkey and Black Tiger, and the third one is a woman. Also his #1 secretary, Red Fox. The time went back more than half an hour. After arriving at the resort, Lei Lei quickly realized something was wrong, and quickly led people to find the apartment building. I saw a large number of zombies surrounding the activity building, and there was a speaker playing music on the 4th floor. Lei Lei immediately ordered the Red Fox to go to the apartment building to rescue people, while he took the Yellow Monkey and Black Tiger to destroy the zombies in the activity building. At that time, the Zombie King was very arrogant when he saw Lei Ting and others arriving, and immediately called on the zombies to surround Lei Ting and others. It was indeed honored that it triggered a full-strength strike from Thunder, and was electrocuted into charcoal by Thunder's power of thunder and lightning. Soon, the zombies who lost the command of the Zombie King became a mess. Then, Lei Lei led Huang Monkey and Black Tiger to quickly clean up the mobile building. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 174. At the beginning, they fought politely with supernatural powers and cold weapons. Until Lei Lei searched for a long time but could not find his family. After arriving on the 5th floor, Lei Lei directly asked his 2 men to open fire. With a crackling sweep, the zombies fell quickly one by one, and soon the 5th floor was completely cleared. As the smartest one among the 4-color group, Huang Hao has always been a little suspicious of Len Ning. After all, he and their eldest brother almost grew up together, and he also watched the young lady grow up. He could clearly see the temperament of their young lady. The boss said that the young lady was dreaming about something. Well, Thuxon. After all, on their way back to City A, with that information, they did save a lot of trouble, and by the way, their strength improved a lot. But he didn't believe that she had any powerful powers, and that she was so brave that she wanted to stay at the resort and wait for them to come back. That was none other than Miss, the little girl who was scared half to death when she saw a dead bird. But after entering this building, he seemed to have no choice but to believe it. The number of zombie corpses piled up in those rooms was really frightening. They searched around and found only the young lady and the boy in front of them. This kid looks like a weakling at first glance. It's surprising that he has the ability to kill so many zombies. Hey, boy, were you responsible for those corpses in the rooms in this building? Huang Ho asked directly. This guy does look weak, but the lady looks weaker than him. Of course. The boss and I killed it together. Zhou Tao raised his head and said, a little unhappy with Huang Ho's attitude. Who killed more? Huang Ho said in an impatient tone. In fact, he had already guessed the answer. After all, most of the fatal injuries on the corpses were the same. And according to what their boss said, the lady's superpower attribute is wood. Zhou Tao glanced and curled his lips. Of course I am the boss. The boss's wood power has reached the 3rd level now. How can I, who is the 2nd level fire power, compare with her? Although he was saying that he was not as good as Len Ning, Zhou Tao's expression was filled with emotion. The smell of tugging. I am now at the pinnacle of the 2nd level of the fire system. You guys should stop looking at others with your arse. The yellow monkey was startled. The young lady's power level is actually as high as the boss's, he exclaimed. Yes, stronger than you. You are only the 3rd level beginner of the wind system, Black Tiger said angrily. These words shocked Zhou Tao to the point of being stunned on the spot. What, this thin monkey is actually a strong person at the 3rd level of the wind system. Damn it, he was bragging about his 2nd level peak in front of him just now, how embarrassing. Haha, it sounds like you are better than Miss. You are only at the beginning of the 3rd level of the strength system, Huang Ho said to Black Tiger angrily. Zhou Tao. What kind of freak is this? Are both of them 3rd level superpowers? Ahem, you two, since you are sure that you are yours, can you let me pass first? At this time, Zhou Tao no longer had the mind to care about the issue of being embarrassed or not. He just wanted to leave here as soon as possible to find his boss. It was okay in the past, but you can't disturb our boss and young lady Haihu said directly. Zhou Tao. Seeing Zhou Tao suppressing his anger, Huang Ho wanted to laugh. Boy, I'm brother and sister, ahem, brother and sister. We haven't seen each other for a long time, and now we're catching up on old times, so don't be a light bulb. Huang Ho suppressed his smile and said to Zhou Tao. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kge Now. Chapter 175. Over the years, none of them have noticed the boss's thoughts. He really admired the boss. He obviously had a deep love for the young lady, but he almost had it written all over his face, yet he insisted on pretending to be the eldest brother, not even daring to cross the line. Well, before, he felt that the young lady's cowardly temperament was not worthy of their boss, so he didn't feel sorry for the boss. I even hope that their boss can figure it out on his own when is the best time. There are so many beauties out there, any one of them would be prettier and more sophisticated than his cheap sister. But now, since the young lady has changed so much and is still so strong, she is qualified to be their sister-in-law. Zhou Tao was stunned for a moment, vaguely feeling that Huang Ho's words were a bit strange. But he was so thoughtful that he never thought about Lei Ting being interested in Len Ning. After all, they are brother and sister in the first place. Next, A proud man like Lei must like mature and sexy beauties. How could he fall in love with bean sprouts like Len Ning? That's right. The boss is reunited with his relatives. Zhou Tao thought for a moment and scratched his head in embarrassment. He likes the boss. He was planning to confess his love to the boss today, but he didn't say it out loud. Now the boss's eldest brother is back, and he is still his most admired idol. At this time, he had better not get involved and annoy him, so as not to create a bad impression. Yes, you are so sensible now. Huang Ho stepped forward with a smile, put his big hand directly on Zhou Tao's head, and then started to rub it. Zhou Tao quickly dodged and avoided. Ah well, this place is not interesting. How about we leave here first, Zhou Tao said and looked at Haihu. His intuition told him that this burly man was much easier to talk to than the skinny monkey. From the look in the skinny monkey's eyes, one could tell that he was a treacherous one, so it would be better to talk less to him. Let's go, Haihu said directly, then turned and left. Zhou Tao breathed a sigh of relief and was about to lift his heels. Huang Hao actually walked up and placed him on his shoulder. Boy, tell me what happened to your boss at the resort. He couldn't help it, he was really curious. Zhou Tao's face was a little stiff, and he calmly tried to get Huang Ho's hand off his shoulder. However, Huang Ho seemed to be relying on him, and his little strength could not push Huang Ho's arm at all. After several failed attempts, Zhou Tao had no choice but to accept his fate and choose to compromise. Then, he obediently told Huang Ho about all the major things Len Ning had done in the resort. At first, Zhou Tao was a little reluctant. But as he spoke, he began to talk endlessly and his eyebrows were dancing. Especially when talking about their Manman team going to H-Town to get supplies, Zhou Tao couldn't hide the pride in his eyes. Huang Ho agreed while secretly calculating in his mind. The change in the young lady is a bit exaggerated. Black Tiger, who was walking at the front, was also shocked. Has Miss really changed so much? After getting along together, Huang Ho also told Zhou Tao his and Black Tiger's identities. This kid has already reached the peak of the second level of the fire system at a young age, and he can be considered a capable person. And he is also the lady's confidant. Later, when he and the lady returned to their Thunder base, they were considered one of their own. On the other side, Lei hugged Len Ning and left the activity building on his long legs. When we arrived at the apartment building, Red Fox and others had already appeared in the yard. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 176. When Lei's mother saw her son appearing with her daughter in his arms, tears immediately came to her eyes, and she hurriedly prepared to chase her out. But he was supported by Red Fox. Madam, don't worry. After a while, Lei came to the yard with Len Ning in his arms. Mom, upon seeing Lei's mother, Lei called out in a deep voice. Lei Mu nodded repeatedly. Fortunately, you came back in time, okay. Then he hurried forward to check on Len Ning's condition. Seeing Len Ning unconscious with her eyes closed, Lei's mother was extremely worried. Don't worry, Xiao Ning was just mentally exhausted and fell asleep. Lei frowned slightly and explained to Lei's mother. Only then did Lei Mu look up at Thunder again. Seeing Lei nodding towards her, she felt a little relieved. Where is the room? I'll take Xiao Ning back to rest first, Lei continued. Master, come with me, Uncle Yang hurriedly led the way. Then, Lei followed Uncle Yang with Len Ning in his arms. Lei's mother followed the two of them and also went upstairs. Yuan Xing and Zheng Peng cast grateful glances at Red Fox and walked outside. This beauty, codenamed Red Fox, is very capable. She was the one who just wiped out the zombies in the apartment building. Now that the boss is taken care of, they don't have to worry. But Zhou Tao hasn't come back yet, and he doesn't know if something happened. They need to go and see. Yang Meijun stood there with Xiaobao. After everyone left, She pulled her son's little hand. "Let's go," he said to his son. Only then did Xiaobao look away from the stairs. Then he ignored his mother and walked towards the red fox. "That person is the boss's eldest brother," then he asked. He and his mother came here for a short time, but despite this, they still heard about the legendary big brother from many people. Especially the eldest brother. She mentioned her eldest brother to him more than once and respected him very much. Before, he didn't believe that anyone in this world could be better than Boss Rang. But when he appeared, he realized that there really was such a powerful and good-looking person. But for some reason, he didn't like this young Master Lei in his heart. "I don't like it even more that Mr. Lei is holding their boss like this." The red fox was stunned. "Yes. Remember to call me Mr. Lei from now on." Then he smiled and said to Xiaobao. "Madam has already told her that although this child is young, he is also a member of Miss Manman's team, and he is also a rare healing power user." Oh, a flash of displeasure flashed in Xiaobao's eyes. "It's so fast that almost no one notices. I am a person with healing powers and can help the boss. Can you let me help the boss with his treatment?" Xiaobao continued. The red fox raised his lips and said, "Of course. I had other thoughts about Len Ning in my heart. The young lady has indeed changed a lot. Putting aside her high-level abilities, she actually has so many partners who are loyal to her. In fact, the young age in front of her made her a little incredible." "Let's go." Red Fox smiled and stretched out his hand to Xiaobao. Xiaobao handed his hand to Red Fox and left with Red Fox. Yang Meijun smiled and followed the two of them upstairs. Len Ning's room. After Lei Lei sent Len Ning back to the room, he put Len Ning on the bed. He also went to fetch water himself and wiped the stains on Len Ning's face and exposed skin. He wiped it very seriously, bit by bit, meticulously and gently. Knock, knock, knock. At this moment, there was a knock on the door. Lei Lei's hand holding the veil stopped in mid-air. "Who?" he asked in a deep voice outside the door. "Boss, it's me." Red Fox's voice came from outside the door. "What's the matter?" Lei Lei's voice was filled with displeasure. "You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 177. He has let them handle the outside matters on their own. Do you know that he is taking care of Xiaoning? A flash of embarrassment flashed across the face of the red fox outside the door. She knew that the boss would be very irritable as long as it was related to the young lady. Ahem, one of the young lady's subordinates has a healing power. He wants to help the young lady recover her mental power as soon as possible. Red Fox glanced at Xiaobao and said to the people inside. Thunder in the room was stunned. "Let him come in," then he said in a deep voice. "The feeling of mental exhaustion is very uncomfortable. With the help of someone with healing powers, Xiaoning can recover faster, which is of course a good thing." "Yes," Red Fox said with a smile on his face. Then he unlocked the door and pushed Xiaobao. "Come in quickly." Then he smiled and said to Xiaobao. "Thank you, sister." Xiaobao smiled at Red Fox. The sister heard this sound and the Red Fox was very happy. He immediately felt that it was worth it for him to be beaten by the boss just because of Xiaobao. "Go on, remember not to make the boss angry by looking around," Red Fox told Xiaobao after saying sister. "Yes." Xiaobao nodded obediently. Then he entered the door. Thunder is still taking care of Len Ning. Hearing movement at the door, he looked back and saw that the person coming turned out to be a child. Master Lei. Seeing Lei Lei looking at him, Xiaobao felt inexplicably nervous. Then he stood up and bowed to Lei Lei. Thunder nodded. "Are you also a member of Manman team?" he then asked. "Yes. I am a healing power user, and I am currently at the second level intermediate level of power." Xiaobao puffed out his chest and said. a bit proud of his own power level. The boss said that his talent is very high and very rare. Come here. Lei had no expression on his face and just said lightly. Xiaobao was stunned. Seeing that Lei Ting didn't show any favor towards him, nor did he give Lei Ting a good look, he stepped forward. Then in front of Lei Ting, he used his powers to recuperate Len Ning. After about 10 minutes, Xiaobao began to feel lacking in energy. But Len Ning's spiritual growth in the sea of consciousness still has not returned to normal levels. Lei glanced at Xiaobao, then took out a bag of transparent crystal cores from his space ring and handed it to him. Xiaobao was a little surprised to see the crystal core. He also saw that the style of Lei Ting's space ring was different from Len Ning's, and he knew in his heart that these transparent crystal cores belonged to Lei Ting. The boss has it, and this young master Lei actually has it too. It is indeed very powerful. Humph, it's given for free, why don't you want it? Without hesitation, Xiaobao took the crystal core from Lei Ting and absorbed it while continuing to recuperate Len Ning. After another 3 minutes, Xiaobao finally helped Len Ning get out of the state of mental exhaustion before he reached mental exhaustion. After doing all this, Xiaobao's forehead was already covered with sweat. However, seeing Len Ning's brow no longer frowning, Xiaobao felt that it was all worth it. Just as he was about to leave with Lei Ting handed him a white towel. Seeing that Xiaobao didn't answer, Lei handed over the towel again. A flash of hesitation flashed across Xiaobao's face, and he finally took the towel before Lei frowned. Then in front of Lei, he wiped the sweat from his forehead. Boss, she's fine now. She should wake up soon. Seeing Lei still looking at him, Xiaobao put down the towel and said. Thunder nodded. Then he took out a bag of transparent crystal cores from his space ring again and handed it to Xiaobao. Looking at the crystal core, Xiaobao was stunned. Lei didn't say anything, and moved forward again. I saved the boss. It was voluntary and no crystal core was needed. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 178. The next words fell silent on Xiaobao's lips. Because Thunder's impatient expression looks scary. Xiaobao finally took over the crystal core. Thank you, Mr. Lei. Then he couldn't help but bowed to Lei again. Lei nodded and looked towards the door. Xiaobao's heart tightened. I'm leaving. Then, quickly walked towards the door. After going out, he even took the initiative to close the door. When there was finally no one else in the room, Lei put his head to Len Ning's cheek. While helping Len Ning wipe his face, he continued to observe Len Ning carefully. From the first meeting, he knew that Xiao Ning was exquisite, attractive, and a beauty. She will be dazzling when she grows up. I haven't seen her for more than a month, and she has changed so much. She looks even more beautiful than before, with more charm that many women have. Looking at Len Ning's face so close to him, Lei couldn't help but notice. When his eyes accidentally touched Len Ning's lips, Lei almost stared straight. At this time, suddenly, Len Ning's fingers moved. Then her long eyelashes trembled twice. Thunder immediately woke up. Before Len Ning opened his eyes, he quickly distanced his body from Len Ning. Len Ning opened his eyes and saw Lei looking at him with concern. She slightly suspected that she was dreaming now. It wasn't until she blinked several times and saw that the person in front of her was still there that she believed that the person in front of her was really Lei Ting and was taking care of her. Then, Len Ning moved suddenly. He immediately stood up and hugged Lei. Lei's body stiffened and he suddenly lost his reaction. All that was left was a heart beating fast. Brother. After hugging him for a while, Len Ning finally shouted. Lei came to his senses and patted Len Ning's shoulder gently. I'm here then, he replied in a deep voice. This reply made Len Ning's inner strength collapse instantly. Regardless of how dirty he was, Len Ning started to shed tears and runny nose on Lei's clean clothes. He didn't say a word, just vented his emotions. For the hard work she had to wait for him for more than a month in this life. Also because of the grievance and pity of not being able to see him for the last time when he died in his previous life. She even apologized to Lei Ting in her previous life. I don't know how long it took, but Len Ning finally vented enough and finally came out of Lei Ting's arms. Looking at Len Ning, who was crying and looking dirty and imageless, Lei Lei picked up the handkerchief he had put down earlier and continued to wipe Len Ning's face. "You're a big girl, and you're still crying like this," he continued. Although he used the serious tone he was accustomed to, Len Ning could hear his deep concern. "No matter how old she is, Xiao Ning is my elder brother's most beloved sister." Len Ning burst into tears and smiled. Lei Lei was stunned. "My heart felt a little heavy. Yes. I won't let you and Mom worry any more," then he said in a deep voice. Len Ning felt warm in her heart and leaned into Lei Lei's arms again. The eldest brother will always be the most reassuring person in the world for her. The corners of Lei Lei's mouth raised slightly, and he hugged Len Ning with his big hands, enjoying the happiness of this moment. After a long time, Len Ning finally let go of Lei Ting. "Zhou Tao." Lei Lei frowned. "A man's name? That's the kid with me. He's my subordinate." "Is he okay?" Len Ning hurriedly explained, thinking that Lei Ting didn't know who Zhou Tao was. "It's okay," Lei Lei replied. When he brought Xiao Ning over just now, there was indeed a boy in the room. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 179. Why was he with Xiao Ning at that time? Guessing some possibilities, Lei Lei's face became a little gloomy. "Oh, it's okay. He and I both suffered from mental exhaustion at that time, but I was more serious than him. Fortunately, you came back in time." Len Ning didn't pay attention to Lei Ting's expression at all, and continued on by himself. "That boy Zhou Tao is a bit shy and a bit nervous, but he's not ambiguous about killing zombies." Thunder. "By the way, brother, have you met the other members of my Manman team? They were all discovered by me, and their strength is not low," Len Ning continued. "Zhou Tao is the second-level peak of the fire system, Yuan Xing is the second-level peak of the power system, and Zheng Peng is also at the second-level intermediate level of the wind system. By the way, there is Xiao Bao. He is the second-level intermediate level of the healing system. Yet are they all men? But they are not as powerful as me. My current wood mutation ability has reached the peak of the third level, and I may enter the fourth level at any time." Len Ning raised his head and said to Lei Lei. The corners of Lei Lei's mouth raised slightly. "Xiao Ning is very powerful," he continued. Seeing Lei Lei smiling at him, Len Ning couldn't help but blush. "What level is brother now?" Then he changed his gaze by asking questions. "Third level peak," Lei Lei replied. Len Ning was stunned on the spot. Although she knew that her eldest brother was very talented and could even be said to be almost perverted. But when he returned to Cydia in his previous life, he was only at the second-level intermediate level. The third-level peak? Or the thunder type? What on earth has he experienced? "Thanks to the information you told me, we have been following the method you told us to increase the level of our abilities on the way back," Lei Lei said. "There are two ways to improve the level of superpowers. The first is to absorb crystal nuclei, and the second is to conduct a lot of actual combat. Combining the two, the effect is even better." They returned all the way from abroad, and then rushed back to Cydia from the border. The journey is long and dangerous. But this is also an excellent exercise opportunity. Except for 3 of his close confidants, the rest of the group he took out were lost on the road. At the same time, Huang Monkey, Black Tiger, and Red Fox all followed him into the third level. Brother, you are so awesome," Len Ning said awkwardly to Lei Ting. She thought that her progress had been amazing. She thought that her eldest brother's power level must not be as good as hers, and she was ready to say it to show off. She is innocent. No matter who it is, if you compete with thunder, isn't it because you are unhappy with yourself? Lei Lei glanced at Len Ning and said nothing. By the way, brother, have you ever returned to Thunder Base? How is Thunder Base now? When will we go back? Len Ning suddenly became energetic again. It was finally time to leave this desolate resort. She missed the city life in the Thunder Base. I haven't gone back yet. However, when the communication was restored earlier, I had already arranged for Blue Snake to reorganize the Thunder Base. The plan was drawn up after discussion between me and the four-color team, and it should be developing well now. If we go back, let's wait for you to rest for a day, then we will set off early tomorrow morning, Lei Lei said in a deep voice. Len Ning's eyes immediately burst out with joy. Only Blue Snake is at the Thunder Base. What about the other four-color groups? Yellow Monkey, Black Tiger, and Sister Red Fox. Speaking of these people, Len Ning had a smile in his eyes. People in the four-color group are not only Big Brother's subordinates, but to some extent, they are also Big Brother's friends. Although many of them were dissatisfied with her in her previous life, she still couldn't forget the care they took for her when she was a child. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 180. Especially the Red Fox. She has always taken care of herself like a sister. Moreover, they are dissatisfied with themselves, and it is true that they are stupid in doing things and hurt their eldest brother for the sake of outsiders. They were with me, and they are also in the resort now, Lei Lei said. So besides you, they were the ones who killed the zombies in the activity building just now. Len Ning immediately had the answer in his mind. Yellow Monkey and Black Tiger, those two guys are hot weapon enthusiasts. It was hard to get his permission for them to use guns. The two men immediately took out weapons from the space ring and charged at the zombies in a frantic manner. Len Ning raised the corners of his mouth. Let me tell you, the voice does sound like their style. This time it was Thunder's turn to be surprised. The four-color group's external identity has always been the top management of Lei's, and few people know their underworld identities. In addition, he deliberately concealed it from Xiaoning, so she should not know. Suddenly Lei Lei remembered what Len Ning told him before. Xiaoning said that the reason why she knows so much is because she was reborn. Then it's not surprising that she knows the behavior of the Yellow Monkey and the Black Tiger. He has never thought about this matter deeply, but now it seems that things are indeed not that simple. What did Xiaoning experience in her previous life? She is still so unguarded and so attached to herself. So nothing happened between him and her in the previous life? 5 years after the end of the world, is he still just her brother? Hey, I haven't seen Sister Honghu for a long time. I have to check on her. Thinking that Red Fox was here, Len Ning couldn't stay any longer and was about to get out of bed. Lei Lei frowned. The three of them are cleaning the battlefield, and they don't have time to catch up with you for the time being. You have just regained some strength, have a good rest. Then he leaned over and trapped Len Ning in front of the bed and himself. Seeing his eldest brother's handsome face close at hand, Len Ning's face turned red again. In desperation, Len Ning had no choice but to lie back obediently. Upon seeing this, Lei Lei unconsciously raised the corners of his mouth. But his face remained calm, and he sat up straight. I feel like my strength is back. I'm not tired at all. Len Ning looked at Lei Ting and said. She seemed to have seen her elder brother snickering just now. Was she wrong? Thunder said nothing. Len Ning rolled his eyes. I'm dirty here. I want to take a bath then, he said to Lei Lei with a coquettish look on his face. Lei Lei was stunned for a moment, and then his face began to heat up. In order to avoid being discovered by Len Ning, he quickly got up and walked towards the door. I'll get you some hot water. He didn't forget to leave the sentence. Len Ning laughed out loud, haha. Not long after, Lei Lei actually sent hot water. He also personally delivered hot water to Len Ning's bathroom. His body was indeed dirty. Len Ning got out of bed and went to the bathroom to take a shower. Put on clean clothes before leaving the room. As soon as I went out, I heard my mother talking to my eldest brother in the living room. Slowing down his steps, Len Ning walked towards the living room. Thunder's eyes flashed. As a third-level superpower, he immediately noticed the situation and knew that a little thing had come out and was eavesdropping on his conversation with his mother. Thunder, you don't know, if it weren't for Ning Ning, I dash. Seeing her son wink at her, Lei's mother was a little confused. Thing Lei, what's wrong with your eyes? Lei's mother looked at Lei Lei and asked with concern. Haha dash. Len Ning couldn't help but burst out laughing after hearing what Lei's mother said and seeing the embarrassed expression on Lei Ting's face. Lei Mu immediately followed the sound and saw Len Ning, who was eavesdropping on their conversation. Now she finally understood what her son's eyes were pointing to. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kge Now. Chapter 181. Lei Mu's face started to smile. Yes, it is estimated that this girl is the only one who can make her son have that expression. He opened his hand to his daughter. Len Ning immediately walked towards Lei Mu, sat down next to Lei Mu, and entered Lei Mu's arms. Lei's mother hugged Len Ning contentedly, feeling warm and happy at the moment. Their family was finally reunited happily. Lei Lei looked at the scene in front of him and felt a little warm in his heart. Afraid of disturbing you, Mei Jun and Zheng Gang moved the kitchen next door, so we can start cooking soon, Lei's mother said, arranging the broken hair on Len Ning's forehead. When he heard that dinner was about to be served, Len Ning's eyes immediately lit up. What kind of dishes are there? Then he looked at Lei Mu with bright eyes and asked. Haha, they are all your favorite food, Lei Mu replied with a smile. Mom is the best. Len Ning immediately stepped forward and kissed Lei's mother on the face. Lei Mu couldn't stop laughing. Let's go, brother. I'll show you Brother Gang and Aunt Yang's craftsmanship. With that said, Len Ning got up from Lei Mu again and walked towards Lei Ting. Seeing that Lei Lei didn't move, he grabbed Lei Lei's hand and pulled him up from the sofa. Mom, I'll take my eldest brother there first. Then he smiled at Lei's mother, dragged Lei Lei away. Lei Ting gave Lei's mother a dumbfounded expression and cooperated with Len Ning's actions. Seeing the performance of her children, Lei's mother smiled again. Len Ning took Lei Ting out of the door and went straight to the next door. After knocking on the door a few times, Zheng Gang opened the door. Seeing Len Ning with a smile on his face and Lei Lei standing at the door, Zheng Gang felt a little nervous unconsciously. He was in great awe of this legendary young man. Mr. Lei. Zheng Gang quickly bowed to the two of them. Brother Gang, is the food ready? Smelling the aroma of food coming from the room, Len Ning ignored Zheng Gang and directly pulled Lei Lei inside. Most of it is already done. Madam said that if you come over, let you eat first, Zheng Gang said hurriedly. Len Ning rubbed his belly carelessly. Brother, eat with me, Len Ning said to Lei Ting with a smile. Without waiting for Lei Lei's answer, he said to Zheng Gang, Brother Gang, please prepare 2 sets of bowls and chopsticks. Then he took Thunder and walked towards the dining table. Yes, Zheng Gang hurried to the kitchen. After pulling Lei Ting to sit down at the dining table, Len Ning walked over and sat down opposite Lei Ting. Brother, I'm not bragging. Brother Gang and Aunt Yang's skills are not inferior to those of chefs. You'll know when you taste them later. Len Ning's eyes were bright. Yeah, Thunder nodded. After running all the way, they didn't eat anything good on the way. Smelling the aroma of this dish, he was also a little hungry. After a while, Zheng Gang brought the bowls, chopsticks, and dishes to the table. Len Ning immediately asked Lei Ting to start with him. Eating delicious food, Len Ning felt extremely happy. I accidentally finished 5 bowls of rice. Then, Len Ning finally felt satisfied. Seeing Lei Lei still eating gracefully, Len Ning simply put his hands on the dining table to watch his eldest brother eat. As expected of her eldest brother, he looked so good even when eating. She could tell that her eldest brother also liked these meals, but he was not rude at all when he ate, and was as elegant as a prince. Finally, Lei Lei finished his sixth bowl of rice and put down his chopsticks. "Brother, are you full?" Len Ning asked, looking at Lei Lei with a smile. If she hadn't seen her eldest brother eat 6 bowls of rice with her own eyes, she would definitely not believe that his calm expression now was what he should have after eating 6 bowls of rice.